everyone. You're aware that your last assignment is going to be an interview that you need to do with someone who is in the middle adulthood stage of life. And so just to give you an example of what you can do, I'm going to post 2 interviews next week on interviews that I've done, one with a man and one with a woman. And just to give you some idea of what you could ask, what you could look for as you interview the person. Now, this morning I've got Roger with me. Roger is on a committee with me, and that's particularly how I know him, through my church. And he had a birthday last week and has turned 53. I'm allowed to tell you that. And I thought I'd ask him about being in midlife. What is it, middle adulthood? What is it like? And he can tell us something of what he's learned and his developmental journey this far. So we'll kick off straight away then. Roger, thank you for being here. Tell me a little bit about work and studies. What did you study, and are you busy working in the field that you originally studied in?
Right, well, I didn't become what I thought I would be when I was at school. I thought I would study medicine, which I did start. Mm-hmm. I then thought I would do engineering, which I also didn't end up doing. Okay. And in the end, I went back to what I'd actually really enjoyed at school, and that was information technology, or IT. Even when I was at school in the 80s, we had access to the very first computers. Okay. Or some of the very early computers. So I'm old. And our computer had 7K of memory, which is a lot less than what we have today. So I ended up going back to that. Okay. I thought it was just something that I did for fun. Yes. But it was really my passion, and I've discovered that it is still my passion. And so I'm still in the information technology space, and really enjoying it. Okay. How long? I'm interested to hear a little bit about that, because those are quite significant field changes. Can you tell me just a little bit more about that process and how long it took you to get to where you really want to be? Yeah, I think the choice of medicine was not a correct choice. I think the main reason I did it was because my elder brother was doing it, and that clearly wasn't the right reason. Engineering is similar to information technology. It's technical, it's creative, but it just didn't work out. So what I do as information technology is the same sorts of creative things that I might do as an engineer. Okay. So they're similar areas, but information technology is what really got me going. Okay. What I've discovered, and still, I'm in the last year or two, I've spent a lot of time asking, what am I passionate about? Mm-hmm. And for me, my information technology work is the work I do is working with data, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to take data that's not in a structured format, and I use the term making data talk. As a description of what I do. And I'm absolutely passionate about taking data in an unstructured or in an unformatted way and turning it into something that actually tells a story. And it's about finding out what the truth is. If I walk into a situation where a customer's got a problem, or there's some technical issue on a system, or a call center that's got problems, I immediately go to the data and I say, what is the truth about what this data is saying? And I'll make sure I'll pull the data out and analyze the data in a way that I get the truth out. Okay. And that's very helpful for what I need to do, and the customers find it very helpful too. Yes.
Do you think, I'm going to come back to truth with you, because we're going to look at something of your values in a few minutes. Do you think that what you're doing now is something that you could have been doing sort of 15 years ago? Or do you think the fact of who you are now brings value to the job you're doing?
Yeah, the boundary between my work and my spiritual side and my other values is completely, or is disappearing very, very much as I've got older. Yes. And so I realized that the things that I value from a moral point of view, for instance, if someone lies to me, I absolutely hate it. I can't trust somebody who lies to me. And that's because I'm so passionate about finding truth. In my spiritual journey, again, it's about finding out the truth. So what is going on here? What is the truth? How do we shed light on a particular situation? And the same thing with working with data in my work is it's about finding out what the truth is. And I like to speak the truth. Yeah. So if I'm in a personal situation and I see something that needs to be spoken about, I'm not scared to speak the truth.
Okay.
I sometimes get myself into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
My mother says, Rogers says what other people only think.
Okay, yes.
And I do sometimes notice something and have the need to say it.
Okay.
And so my passion for working with data is about finding the truth, and I realize that's how I'm wired.
Okay.
I believe that we're all created with different wiring. We're all designed to be contribute to our communities in different ways. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's about finding truth wherever I go.
Now, again, I'm thinking of your development as a person. You say you say what others are thinking. Has your self-confidence grown to bring you to a point like that? Again, do you think you would have done that at an earlier stage of life, or is that a product again of being at this point in life?
I think after 53 years, I do have some wisdom and some experience that I didn't have 30 or 40 years ago, and that's valuable. It's valuable to recognize. It's great when other people recognize it, and they're prepared to come and ask me for input, and hopefully pay me in my commercial role to provide that input. But it's definitely developed as I've grown older.
Okay, so that's a product of time. You
Yes.
can't get it in any other way.
No.
Really.
I think looking back, I could have accelerated some of it and been wiser than I was, but that's life. I mean,
time. Okay, great. Now we have looked at in class. We've looked at Erikson's stages of development, and so I just wanted to ask Roger briefly about being in the mid-adulthood stage, which is 40 to 65 years old, and ask him about what Erikson said there, generativity versus stagnation. So what are you producing in your life at this point, other than sort of having been through the different developmental stages when you're so much younger, and then getting to a point now where you stagnate and you just wait for life to end, really? What are your thoughts on his labeling this stage as generative versus stagnating? Any thoughts?
Most definitely. I mean, I'm certainly feel like I'm far from any stagnation.
Okay.
So just carry on from my career point of view, I really am pulling together what I've done over 29 years in the IT industry.
Gosh. Okay.
And I've recently stopped a full-time job.
Yeah.
Was employed as a director of a company. And I've given myself the freedom to stop and ask, what really is it that I'm passionate about? What is my true design? Because for the next 10, 20 years plus, whatever I'm doing, I want it to be stuff that I'm absolutely passionate about. Life's too short to do things that I'm doing because I've done them before or because someone else wants me to do them.
Yes.
And it's difficult because one's got to balance the need to earn and to support a family of expensive teenagers.
Never.
But I've given myself the opportunity. So I'm only 2 months into it, and I'm absolutely loving it. Okay. And I'm discovering that what I've explained about my passion for data and finding the truth in data is what I really want to do. And so now it's a matter of how I can grow into that. So the next stage of what I do with this new business that I've literally just launched is certainly not going to be stagnation. I'm looking to take it into some exciting spaces and to really grow a business doing some very new stuff in the data analytics and data science space. So I don't know when I would end up stagnating in this model.
Okay.
But
well, that's not where you want to head. So
no, I certainly don't see any. There's no sort of I'm 53 and I'm comfortable and I'm just going to carry on cruising and slow down. No, I must accelerate now.
Okay. Okay, generates. So yes, you're doing what he describes. Then is making more of your life and making a more, from what I can hear, a more accurate and a larger contribution, again, because you'll leave something behind where you would have, I'm just thinking where you would have left a role, in a sense, at the other company. Now you're going to leave something that you've created so much more.
Yeah, so how does one build something that's got real value in terms of product or a company? One of the things that's only come to mind in the last few months is the idea that I could actually create something that one of my, or both my children could take over, which is a wonderful thought, which used to happen a lot in the old days, where sons would take over from their fathers. And
or daughters.
So, yes. It's an option. I'm thinking of my son because he's also about to start studying IT.
Oh, okay.
And the idea that I could create something that he could take over if he wanted to is a very exciting concept that I'd like to explore. The other reason for stepping out of full-time employment is to make sure I get my balance in life right.
Yes.
One of my mottos is that no one on their deathbed ever wished they spent more time in the office. And in IT particularly, there's a danger that one gets very sucked into the busyness of a job.
Okay.
And so as I've grown older, I've certainly realized there's a lot more to life than just work. And my values have certainly swung. So, materialism and needing things and needing to find recognition from the type of car I drive or the stuff I have, that's really faded for me. I drive an 18-year-old second-hand car that I was given by a friend, and I have no desire to rush out and spend my money on a car. For my birthday, there was absolutely nothing that I needed for my birthday. I got given some slabs of chocolate that I bought myself. No. So it really wasn't important.
What would you have liked for your birthday if you could make a wish, in a sense?
If money wasn't an issue, I might have bought myself a new camera or something like that. But I really didn't need it.
Okay.
And I was quite happy just with the family celebration of the birthday.
Yeah.
Because what I've realized as well as part of this evaluation I've been going through over the last year or two is how important people are to me. And so I've really swung to that. What I've realized is that I'm an extrovert in the sense that I get my energy from other people. And if I don't get that sort of interaction from people, I shrivel up, I become miserable. And so I actively go out there and try and engage with people because I know that when I'm engaging with people, I come alive.
Okay.
And so whether it's friends or in my community or in my work situation, I know that I need to go and get that engagement with people. Okay. And so I'm designing what I do around getting that extrovert stimulation.
Yes. Now you mentioned a sort of a year's reflection that you've been busy with consciously. Just say a little bit about that. What is that, and why did you enter into that?
Yeah, it started about 18 months ago. I wrote myself an email, about 3-4 pages, and it started off by saying, I'm feeling stuck.
Okay.
And it got to a point of saying, I feel stuck, or I feel trapped by the need to survive financially.
Yes.
With the pressure of having to earn to pay the bills, meant that I was in a job where I couldn't stop and explore stuff because of the risk financially.
Yes.
And having a wife who's a trained accountant didn't help in terms of the fear that surrounded making decisions about stopping a fixed income. And so it's only really been now that I've been in a position to be able to do that. Okay. So I really got to a point of desperation where I said, this cannot carry on. Yes. This feeling of doing stuff because I have to, and doing stuff that I don't necessarily want to do, dealing with customers or in particular industries where I don't necessarily even agree with the values of those industries, but having to do it because I worked for a company that serviced them. So finally, having made this move is fantastic because I feel like I'm off the treadmill in terms of the pressure, but it also opens up a whole new life for me in terms of possibilities.
Well, you can do interviews like this one now.
Yes, I wouldn't have had time to come here. I wouldn't have been allowed off work previously. So it was a sort of 18-month process where I went from that point of feeling miserable to then realizing why, having frustration, having anger, and then getting to the point where I knew something had to change. And that I wasn't going to carry on for another year without actually making some clear moves to change the situation that I was in.
Yes. Yes.
And it's about making sure I get my priorities in life right.
Okay.
So where work was becoming far too much, where I was working 120% of my time, and not getting to the spiritual and the social things that I wanted to do. I wasn't getting to spend time with my family like I wanted to. My son says I'm a much nicer person after 2 months already.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yes.
Starting to get where I want to be.
Yes. Now that's interesting for me, this process, this point that you reached, oh, I'm not doing this anymore, and then began the process of, so what else could take its place? Now there's a common thought that there's a midlife crisis. Do you think, was that a midlife crisis, would you call it? Do you think such a thing exists? What do you think?
Yeah, look, I mean, you hear stories of midlife crises where people, mostly men, go and do silly things. And I think this midlife transition, which I think there is one, doesn't need to be a crisis unless you're stupid about it.
Okay. Okay.
So
you do say what you think.
I think it is a transition.
Okay.
I think one changes. I mean, certainly one changes physically, where one isn't in the same body that one was when one's 20.
Very sad. Yes.
One doesn't have the same energy. So one's got to be clever about what you do. One doesn't have the same time and the same freedom because of family responsibilities. But also there's a sense, I think when I turned 50, there was definitely it was a somber moment of realizing that, I'm more than halfway through my life. And am I going to achieve what I want to achieve in this time? And as I said, it's not really about money, although it's important to make sure that I've got money for retirement and for supporting the family. But probably more in terms of my role and my contribution to society, mainly from a spiritual point of view. I have a sense of urgency where I don't want to leave things too late. There's too much to do. I feel like I've got a role to play. And I need to get out there, discover it more, but also to get the freedom to start playing that role. And time to stop, to get off the treadmill and to start getting creative.
Yes. I like what you use that word urgency, and I think that's something that one could say, well, perhaps at any of the stages, there's whatever the main work of that stage is, it would be urgent in a sense, but it's exactly what Erickson describes again, the urgency around your greater role and living your true identity. There's the word truth again.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you now to just move on to relationships a little bit. As you use the word urgency. What has changed in terms of your relationships? Tell me a little bit about that. And you can speak about your family if you'd like to, and even your friendships. Just say a little bit about that.
Yeah. Let's start with family. It's the most important relationship, and my marriage is my most important relationship.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been married?
You'll have to ask my wife.
That's your question.
22 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Or is it 24?
Okay. Okay.
I got married when I was 29. Yeah, our marriage certainly isn't stagnating, and so we're continually learning how to engage better with each other. It's important for me that part of the move I'm doing now is to shift my time focus so that I can be more available for my wife and my family. Looking forward to exploring that relationship more and more. In fact, the thought that the kids who will be finishing school in the next 3 years, the idea of them being out of the house and us then having the freedom to explore a new relationship as a couple is starting to get quite exciting.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's something. The relationship has changed. It's I think we're both more interested in the values that I've explained in terms of the real things that have true meaning and about leaving a legacy and the longer lasting things. That's something to look forward to where our marriage is going to go over the next years. And in terms of friends, it seems like one can survive with very few friends. If I think about how many friends I had when I was younger, we're actually quite content with literally a handful of friends. And most of our friends are couple friends where we have the four of us are friends. And we relate as two couples. So both my wife and I do have other friends outside of those couple pairs. But probably 80% of the time we spent is time together with another couple. I like to engage seriously with these people. So we used to have dinner parties where we'd invite 6 or 8 other people. Now often I'll say, no, I want a dinner party with just one couple, because if we have more people, I won't be able to talk to them properly.
Yes.
And so, we talk very frankly. I have a reputation amongst our friends and with my men friends as well of asking very direct questions. So I've got friends who I'll ask questions that no one else will ask them, possibly not even their own spouses, because I don't want to mess around. I want to engage. I want to make a difference in their lives. So we get straight to the point, and we ask. We have very serious conversations.
So if they keep refusing your if they keep refusing your dinner invitation, they don't want you to ask.
They don't want an intense session with me. No, it's not that bad. We have great fun as well. But yeah.
So it sounds like friendships move from, I don't know if the word superficial is the right word in a sense, but to a deeper level, and that's what you want and you actively pursue.
Yeah. And if we see something, an issue, I'm not scared to ask about it or go after stuff. Again, life's too short to have polite conversation and pretend everything's fine if there's something that needs to be spoken about. And I appreciate it from my friends as well. I long for them to ask me deep questions and to point out things that they see and to give me sound advice. Does it sound terribly serious?
No,
I have another motto, and that is that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And so
So have you taken up bungee jumping or something?
We do have fun. I think I've got a good sense of humour, and my friends appreciate that. And that's part of the mix. Is great fun times and good laughs together, and some very serious stuff when it needs to be.
But a genuine interest in the wellness of the other person, where perhaps in earlier relationships there's the focus is a bit more on just enjoyment and being in the moment. Perhaps now there's a it sounds like there's an investment in the other person.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've walked a journey, and I've learned a whole lot of things and experienced a whole lot of things in life, and I can see some of the same issues in other people, and I enjoy the fact that I can add value to their lives. And I also recognize that they've been through things that I haven't yet, and that they can add value to my life.
Yes.
So there's a lot that we've got to offer each other as people, and it's a matter of going out there and exploring it.
Okay. We're almost at the end. Two things I want to ask you. I'm going to ask you I'll ask you this, and then I'll ask you the last one. What new interests? Is there a new interest that you've picked up? You say you enjoy fun, and that is anything new that other than, you started a business, so that's quite a big thing in itself, but anything new that you've picked up and said, okay, that I'm going to learn this year, or?
Okay, I'm studying on the data side, so that's keeping me quite busy. Okay. But funnily enough, one of the things I've realized I've had to do, which I've known about for a long time, is to do physical exercise. I realize part of the transition is that physically I need to look after my body. So I've started running, and my son's actually joined me the last month, which has been fantastic to do that together.
Can you keep up with him?
No. He's very polite.
Shame.
But that's been something to explore, and signing up for a 8-kilometer night trail run at Constantia, when a month before I hadn't run 5 kilometers since I was 20, was a bit daunting, but I did it, and I signed up for the next series as well.
Fantastic.
So that's just early days, but I realize I need to have physical exercise as part of my stress management, and as part of trying to keep a 53-year-old body in shape.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, last question. So you're keeping busy and constantly learning, staying stimulated. Definitely important at this point in life, actively doing that. Okay, last question. Anything that you can leave us with, any nugget of wisdom around human development? Just a sentence or two. What can you give to the class?
I think for me, I've realized that we all design differently, and I alluded to this earlier. I believe that God has created us all with different abilities and with a different role to play. And I think we spend far too much time doing stuff which isn't what we designed to do. And whether you do a Myers-Briggs profile or whatever it is, to help you understand how you're wired, how you're designed, I think it's very important to discover that as early on as possible. I think it does change, but I think fundamentally we are certain personality types, we have certain skills, we have certain interests, and it's a matter of actually going out there and finding that passion. For me, one mustn't exhaust oneself doing stuff that you're not good at or that you're not passionate about. So it's about finding that sweet spot of doing what you're designed to do. Yes. And I just encourage everybody to put a lot of effort into that. It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey. But as I've done in the last 3 months, is I've taken a risk in order to follow that passion and to allow myself to find it more. I'm very fortunate in that I've actually ended up earning more than I was earning full time over the last 3 months. So the financial risk for me hasn't been what it could have been. But yeah, the joy is already there. I've had a number of people come to me and say, Roger, you're so much happier than you were. So it's early days, but hopefully I'll look back at this transition moment and say it was the right thing, and that I'm firing on all my cylinders as a result of allowing myself the freedom to follow my passion and my calling.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving your time and for leaving us with your wisdom. Thanks, Roger.